Finally tonight, a farmer who just would not give up, digging in his field in Michigan when he thought he hit a fence post.
It began like any other chilly October morning in the flat farmlands outside Ann Arbor, Michigan. The sky was a dull slate gray, hanging low over fields lined with golden rows of drying wheat. James Bristle, a local farmer, with calloused hands and boots caked in earth, climbed into his backhoe just after dawn. He had no idea that the soil beneath his fields was hiding something ancient, something monstrous, something that would rattle even the most grounded mind. The field was soaked from recent rain. Bristle needed to install a drainage system before the land became unusable. With his neighbor riding shotgun in a nearby pickup, he maneuvered the backhoe into position and plunged the bucket into the wet earth. The first few scoops brought up little more than dark, heavy mud. But then, around 10:45 a.m., the metal edge scraped something solid, too solid to be rock, too smooth to be wood. He climbed down, curious, and as he pulled away the last layer of soil with his hands, he saw it. It looked like a bone, but not the kind you'd expect in a field. It was massive, at least 3 feet long, curved like a question mark and darkened with age. At first, James thought it was maybe an old cow or horse buried long ago, but the size, it was wrong. It didn't belong. He called over his neighbor. Neither man spoke. They just stared. The realization crept in slowly, like the cold sinking into their boots. This wasn't just a bone. It was a tusk. A call was made to the University of Michigan. Within hours, trucks pulled into the field, carrying paleontologist Dr. Daniel Fisher and a team of graduate students. Bristle gave them 1 day, just one, before he'd have to resume work. But that was enough. As the team dug into the earth with gloved hands and small trowels, the scale of what lay beneath became undeniable. First came vertebrae, still locked in sequence as if the creature had collapsed and never moved again. Then a skull, massive, fractured but unmistakably ancient, with cavernous eye sockets and jagged ridges. The tusks, both of them, had curled inward like frozen serpents. By dusk, under portable lights and with breath misting in the cold, the team had uncovered nearly 20% of a complete mammoth. But that wasn't the horrifying part. It was the position of the bones, the strange precision of how they were arranged. They weren't scattered as one would expect from a carcass long decayed. The vertebrae were still aligned, the ribs almost artistically arched. And then there were the rocks, large, rounded boulders placed deliberately over parts of the skeleton, too large to have rolled there, too heavy to have shifted by chance. And nestled near the tusks, half buried in clay, was a stone flake, sharpened on one edge, clearly worked by human hands. Dr. Fisher's voice grew quiet as he crouched beside the find. There was a theory, one he had spoken of before, but rarely with such tangible evidence. Thousands of years ago, long before Europeans set foot on the continent, early humans roamed this land. They were hunters, clever and organized. And sometimes they killed beasts so large that preserving the meat became a race against time. The pond storage theory. It suggested that ancient humans would butcher mammoths, then submerge the meat in cold, still water, using boulders to weigh down the remains, storing food in a natural refrigerator. It was genius. It was brutal. And now, standing in the cold Michigan wind, James Bristle realized he had just plowed straight into a prehistoric crime scene. The team worked quickly. As the sun sank lower and shadows stretched long across the field, they recovered ribs, pelvis fragments, shoulder blades. One student found a tooth the size of a brick, its ridged surface worn smooth by centuries. The mammoth had died between 11,000 and 15,000 years ago, right at the tail end of the Ice Age, a time when glaciers still stalked the northern horizon, a time when humans hunted giants. But the story didn't end there. 2 years later, in 2017, Fisher returned to the same field. Bristle had allowed one more excavation. This time they dug deeper. What they found confirmed the suspicion that had haunted the team since the first discovery. More bones. Nearly 40 additional fragments, including molars, ribs, and part of the pelvis. One of the bones, when radiocarbon dated, returned a chilling result. More than 15,000 years old, older than any known permanent human settlement in the Great Lakes region. And still, the arrangement of the bones defied natural explanation. Fungal spores trapped in sediment samples hinted at the kind of shallow, still water environment necessary for meat preservation. Pollen grains told of a long-lost landscape, lush with spruce and fir, far different from today's cornfields. The evidence was mounting. This mammoth had not simply died and decayed, it had been processed, used, stored. By who? No names, no carvings, just a flake of stone, just the weight of silence pressing down through 15 centuries. For James Bristle, the field would never feel the same. What had once been simple farmland was now a portal, an open wound in time. Every time he passed that spot, he wondered, who stood here before me? Who buried the mammoth beneath these rocks? What happened on this land in the cold and the dark long before history ever began? And perhaps most unsettling of all, how many others are still out there, hidden beneath our feet, waiting to be unearthed by accident, one shovel at a time?